It's stronger down in the Caribbean, just like we expected it to do as well, too. Take a look right now. You'll see what we're talking about. Winds are at 50 miles per hour. Look how fast it's moving now. North-northwest at 21 miles per hour. We are expecting, again, the storm to be a fast mover. This is really fast, actually. Typically, when you see storms over 18 miles per hour, the strengthening process is kind of slowed down a little bit because it's moving so quickly. And we're seeing that now with north-northwest at 21, pressure down to 996 millibars. It'll be working its way across the Yucatan Peninsula and into Cancun. You see there right around 7 o'clock tonight now, a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Then into the central part of the Gulf of Mexico tomorrow at 7 a.m. at 70 miles per hour, so close to being a hurricane by 7 a.m. on Saturday. Then you'll see now a hurricane by 7 p.m. on Saturday off our coastline. And this is what's going to be changing with this now. Watch what landfall is now, potentially now Saturday night, earlier than what I was talking about this morning. This would now put a landfall roughly 10, 11 o'clock Saturday night on Lower Plaquemines Parish, right near the mouth of the Mississippi River. So the forecast track has now shifted a little more to the east. I noticed that this morning. We talked about it. Some of the models were hinting at more of an eastward track. This would be some fantastic news for us here in New Orleans. Not so great, though, on the Mississippi coast, as you would take the brunt of the storm up there now, but we still have the potential for this still to produce some hurricane force winds and a strong storm surge as well. You'll see again, this is 11 o'clock sitting right over the mouth of the Mississippi River there on Saturday night, so a little sooner now. So if you're going to be doing anything Saturday night, keep this in mind. But the strongest winds would be now a little more to the east, about 30 some miles, what we saw earlier this morning. And then by Sunday, 6:30 in the morning, it's north of Mobile, Alabama now. So quickly working its way near the Pascagoula to Biloxi area in Mississippi during the morning hours as well. On this track, if this holds true in the center part of the track, which you can't just always pinpoint on, that would keep most of the storm away from Louisiana, just making that landfall near the mouth of the Mississippi River. New Orleans, as you see, is still in the cone, so we still have that cone of error going as far away as the New Orleans area and now eastward all the way toward about Pensacola, Florida. So we still have hurricane watches in effect here. They've expanded the tropical storm watch to include more of Florida area and still back over near Morgan City, Vermilion Bay. But again, this track, again, earlier was between Grand Isle and the Buras area, now is shifted more to the east. Now, again, we could see these changes continuing throughout today and tomorrow, too, before the eventual landfall. But at least at this point, the latest track here, based off of what we've seen here from the Hurricane Center and what they're looking at, does call for, again, the storm to have at least the models kind of working its way a little more to the east. And it's picked up a lot of speed as well. You see winds are moving north-northwest at 21 miles per hour. Now, I still envision it to continue to strengthen all the way through landfall here, at least in far southeast Louisiana to the Mississippi area as well. But what we're looking at here is with the quick movement there, and they continue to expect to turn north and northeast as it goes along the western edge of that ridge. Again, the guidance and the models are now kind of saying more of that kind of a little bit easterly track now, and thanks to its more northerly motion. So this would be some really good news for us, assuming it continues on the trend of taking this path. They're on into Alabama, and then eventually they're way off into the Boston as we get on into the Tuesday time frame. So still expected to be a fast mover, but now looks like it'll be moving into closer to the area sooner than later. So if you have plans Saturday night, need to think about that might need to be canceled because of this, which would see improving weather then on Sunday. Now the hurricane force wind field and tropical storm force wind field, you'll see by 5 o'clock there, still down along the coastline, working its way on in by 11 p.m. Saturday, impacting part of the New Orleans area, Plaquemines Parish, St. Bernard Parish, the Mississippi coast by 11 o'clock again, with that landfall between 10 and 11 p.m. now, and then gradually working its way toward Mobile, Alabama, and into the Birmingham area during the morning on afternoon on Sunday. So again, this track has now shifted a little more off to the east of Buras versus what originally looked like a landfall near there, now possibly working its way farther to the east. Again, we still have to account for maybe some wobbles back and forth with this. But again, still can see, again, the chance for some storm kind of moving away from us. So with that in mind, the timing still kind of looks like this. Rainfall starting Saturday morning through Sunday night, some wraparound Sunday night. The worst of it will be Saturday night into early on Sunday morning. Still at least 2 to 4 inches of rain possible. Again, this is going to be a fast-moving hurricane. Tropical storm winds around the coastline noon on Saturday, and around 4 p.m. inland areas, we could start seeing them as well, too. And the tide still roughly, again, expected to be around 5 to 8 feet out there. So definitely still worth watching across the area. So rain totals, again, as long as it's a fast mover, 2 to 4 inches, maybe as much as 6 inches in a few places. That can't be totally ruled out, at least at this point. We'll get a new update in about an hour for the potential storm surge product here, but still looking at that again, 5 to 8 feet of water going on into the Mississippi coastal areas, Lake Borgne, into St. Bernard, Plaquemines Parish as well, too, and maybe 3 to 5 feet in Lake Pontchartrain. Remember, as the storm, if it now works its way on in toward the mouth of the Mississippi River, will still at first push all that water on into St. Bernard, Plaquemines, and into the lake. But then when it quickly accelerates north of Mobile, we'll now have northwesterly winds coming in, and that'll push the water back out. So it won't be a prolonged surge event, which would be some very good news, as we see here. Nonetheless, we have a storm surge warning in effect for the Mississippi coast, Louisiana, outside the hurricane protection levee areas, and also including Mobile Bay as well, too. So still going to continue to watch that. As for rainfall totals, you can see here, again, still looking at the surge. First of all, again, early Sunday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning. Now we can actually update that a little more for those flooded roadways and homes. The GFS still showing rain totals here where the worst of the storm will be, around 3 inches. Farther to the west, including New Orleans, maybe not as much. That model saying only about 3/10 of an inch. I'd still plan, even though this doesn't show it, for about 2 to 4 inches across the New Orleans area as we move forward with this system. So again, that's kind of what we're looking at here. Latest update for you. With the system. Again, the track has now been shifted a little more to the east, making landfall, say, in the mouth of the Mississippi River now, Pilot Town area, versus over toward Buras, which we saw earlier this morning. We'll have another update coming up a little later on this morning. Of course, we're going to go on to Facebook. So if you have Facebook, we're going to continue our updates there. But right now, let's go back to the regular programming here on Channel 4.
This has been a Pinpoint Weather Alert, brought to you by Egan Insurance Agency.
And the latest forecast here will show you, again, showing that the system, again, looking at winds of 50 miles per hour, moving very fast, north-northwest to 21. We said this is going to be a fast mover, and indeed, that looks like that's going to continue to be the case. Excuse me, and the pressure 996 millibars. Now, it is expected to just clip the Cancun area, so that's one thing that's key, that it may not spend that much time or really have much of at all impact on the Yucatan Peninsula there. So it will continue its strengthening process all the way into Saturday morning there, where it will be by 7 a.m. a strong tropical storm, close to being a hurricane, at least at this point. And then expected to be a hurricane here right around 7 o'clock as we get on into the time frame there on Saturday night, 7 p.m., south of the mouth of the Mississippi River as a Category 1 hurricane with 80-mile-per-hour winds, making landfall between 10 and 11 o'clock now on the mouth of the Mississippi River, and continuing to show you that it would do it on that point there. And again, this is a new eastward shift to the track compared to what it was. Again, so that's a big difference from what we saw earlier, where it was closer toward the Buras area. And continuing to see that there moving to the east. That'd be great news for New Orleans. We can't discount New Orleans yet. We're still obviously in the cone there, but a more eastward track would be improving weather for us, and unfortunately worse weather for the Mississippi coast back into Mobile, Alabama. There it would be north of Mobile as a tropical storm going on into 7 a.m. Sunday. So this is going to be, as always figured, a quick mover. So that is a good thing for us to see that. And again, going from roughly 7 p.m. there off our coast to 7 a.m. north of Mobile, Alabama. So very fast in 12 hours moving there. Potentially, you see there, 21 miles per hour. May not be quite that fast at landfall, but still moving pretty quickly at this point. So that would be some great news if this trend continues. And then, of course, it works its way through Birmingham, north of Atlanta, back over towards, say, Virginia as well, as still a tropical depression and storm there. So, again, this is kind of some new news, what we're looking at here with the track. Looking at the latest here, with that in mind, we continue to say here again, we will see again some of the tropical storm winds coming soon to the coastline. Still starting to see some rain coming in from Saturday morning as well. And going to continue looking at the surge potential still coming in pretty earlier than 2, but I would say 10 o'clock. see Saturday night late, we should see that surge coming in. I'm trying to get some more information here for you of what we have going on. So if this continues the trend there, here's kind of what we're looking at with that surge now coming in Saturday night. We could see that working its way closer to us as well, coming on in around 5 to 8 feet. That would come on in Saturday night on the late side of things. So continuing to see that as it works its way northward there, will come on in and still producing some issues there for Saturday night. The water's already high a little bit as well too, but we're continuing to see that one. Don't want to say we're dodging this one quite yet, but at least at this point, though, we're seeing that storm potentially could be working its way again closer to the area by 7 p.m. as a Category 1 hurricane off our coastline, and right around, say, 10, 11 o'clock at night, making landfall on the mouth of the Mississippi River now, versus what originally was Buras and kind of clipping St. Bernard Parish. This may move right over the Chandeleur Islands there and head over to the Mississippi coast near not far from Biloxi, Pascagoula area. You can see, again, it can't just follow that center line, but if you look at it, that's kind of what we're looking at here with this one as it continues to work its way there off to the north. So, again, that's one of the biggest updates we have for you at 10 o'clock at this time. So, good to see this. The forecast models, I'll even show you them. They were hinting this morning, I noted that they were kind of working their way off to the west or east of us a little more. Still, you can see a few models trying to come into New Orleans, but the bulk of them more to the east of the city toward Mississippi and Alabama versus our area. So that is some good news for us. We'll continue watching that trend for you as we move forward. Looking at some of the questions you guys have been asking about sandbags and things, go to our website, www.tv.com. We have some information there. Our Facebook page as well. You'll see some more stories and information with all of that on there as well, too. I can give you more specifics than I can at this time. So we're continuing to watch this one closely and see what we have going with this. But the latest information we have does show that we're continuing to see, again, more and more of this kind of eastward track because of its faster speed. Again, look at the speed here. Coming on in at 21 miles per hour, that is one of the reasons why we have upped the landfall across our area as well. And this is all thanks to watching this area of high pressure sitting off the eastern seaboard. That is actually going to help steer this system, and that trough coming in as well too, kind of moving by, pulling the system northward. That's a little late there on Monday, but as you go on into the Sunday morning time frame, that's kind of what we're looking at with that high off the eastern seaboard, helping to pull this system farther to the north. And as that does, again, that's where we're going to start to see, again, the system kind of working its way closer to us. Now more to the east, because that high may not have enough time to build in, which means if it's farther to the east, the system could go farther to the east too, which, again, great news for us, which is some good news, the way things we are looking right now. So, again, continuing to watch this one here for you. We'll continue to give you updates throughout the morning. Some of you are asking about the wind starting to pick up. They have nothing to do right now with Nate. It's actually just that onshore flow we have with that high building in from the east, and that's helping us to be able to show you what we're looking at here with the system as it continues to move on in toward the Yucatan Peninsula as we go on into tonight, and gradually on into the Gulf of Mexico tomorrow morning early, becoming a hurricane by tomorrow evening and making landfall. Likely at this point, again, from what we're talking about, would take it on in toward right now just about the mouth of the Mississippi River there, 10, 11 o'clock on Saturday night into early on Sunday morning. Then quickly you see by 7 o'clock in the morning north of Mobile, Alabama. So this will still be a fast mover, at least 15, if not maybe closer to 20 mile per hour. And the thing is, if we have to have a hurricane, I'd rather have one that comes in quickly and gets out quickly. That's the best kind to have if you have to have one. So, yeah, this is definitely something we need to watch. Again, some of the issues we have to still watch out for. We'll get a new map coming up here in about an hour, but this is the storm surge potential map, and showing that we can see, again, totals here from the Mississippi coast, Lake Borgne area, St. Bernard Parish, and heading down on into Plaquemines Parish, at least at this point, 5 to 8 feet. And some of the water will work its way into Lake Pontchartrain, around 3 to 5 feet there. Now, if the storm does more to the east of us, these totals for Louisiana may be actually a little lower. They're still going to be there because the hurricane's going to be moving on in. But the only good thing is when the storm quickly moves through, we'll start seeing northwesterly winds pushing the water back out a little bit later in the morning. So that's definitely a good thing for this as well, too. But we still have also to storm surge watch in effect. That does include, again, at least at this point, till we get the new numbers out, 5 to 8 feet above ground level for what the potential surge can be. So we are actually seeing here now, let me get this update. We're starting to see the numbers come in now. Hurricane warnings are going to be issued here Let me go back to the warning map here and show you the latest what we have there. We have hurricane warnings starting to come on into the area as well too this time, and we'll get an updated map here in a second. Chris, I don't know if you can see that one, but I think we now have hurricane warnings for coastal areas from Grand Isle to Alabama, Florida border, from New Orleans Metro to Lake Pontchartrain, and hurricane watch and tropical storm warnings for New Orleans Metro and Lake Pontchartrain. I'm sorry, so that's hurricane warnings for the coastal areas from Grand Isle to Alabama, Florida border, and New Orleans Metro and Lake Pontchartrain hurricane watch with tropical storm warnings in effect, and a storm surge watch will be upgraded to a storm surge warning. So we'll get that information for you as well too. This is all coming out with the latest advisory here from the Hurricane Center and at this time. So again, going to get you some more updated numbers here at this point, but I'm going to show you again what we're looking at here with the latest. Again, kind of bringing on in here to landfall would be a little sooner now as we head into Saturday around 10 o'clock. So again, updating hurricane warning now in effect from Grand Isle, Louisiana to the Alabama-Florida border. Storm surge warning in effect from Morgan City, Louisiana to the Alabama-Florida border and for the northern and western shores of Lake Pontchartrain. So we have that storm surge warning, including around our area here. Tropical storm warning for metropolitan New Orleans, Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Maurepas, and west of Grand Isle to Morgan City. And again, a hurricane watch for the Alabama-Florida border farther west. So we're continuing to see all this as well as we go forward. So again, keeping all that in mind, we'll continue to see that hurricane watch here for the New Orleans area as well too. All of that coming in with the latest information here, and hurricane hunters continuing to find the storm system there as well too, giving us the data that shows it is moving a lot faster now. Tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 115 miles, mainly east of the center right now too, down there on into the storm. So again, going to continue getting you more updates with all these as they come on in. You can see the hurricane warnings in effect there for the coastal areas, hurricane watches in effect for the land areas from what we're looking at this point. So again, that's kind of what we're continuing to do with the latest information here for you, and we'll continue to give you more updates as the morning goes on. But that's your latest information here for you. Of course, if you check out our website, www.tv.com. You can get a lot of more information there as well, too. More information on where to get sandbags if you want to get some of those, and get more and more information on any kind of closures or any kind of other issues we have going on around town. So we're going to go ahead and send it back to you guys there. And if you have any more questions, keep it tuned here to Channel 4, our social media sites, meteorologist Dave Nussbaum, meteorologist Chris Franklin on our Facebook, also Twitter and Facebook of the Channel 4. We're on there as well, too. So right now, we're going to send you back to, again, not really regular programming, but back to your daily duties there around the area.
Yeah, they haven't updated